Ms. Berenga.
Hi. Do I have to turn this on? Can y'all hear me? Ooh, that's really loud. Okay, thank you for having me come today. It was a great opportunity for me actually to get dressed in professional gear. Again, I have been working from home for about 20 years, more than that actually. I've been really fortunate in my career to be able to do that. So we went into COVID and my job didn't change. So actually this is the first time that I've actually put a suit jacket on in almost 2 years before the pandemic. So I'm glad to talk to you today. Okay, so I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life from the beginning, but I'll just tell you sort of when I look back on it, dots that connected themselves. My grandfather owned and ran a short line railroad. And so I was exposed to that. It was walking distance from my house.
Where's that? What state?
In New Jersey. And a short line railroad is a short piece, maybe up to 15 miles of railroad that connects all the big railroads that cross the country. And so it's part of a railroad, a network. And that's the part that services the local customers. Right, so who's responsible for making sure they have their materials, whether it's lumber, whether it's produce, whatever it may be. Somebody has to do the value-added work at the end to get those cars in and out when you need them, when a production plant needs them, and so that's what a short line railroad does. And he also had a passenger business. So I grew up, I think I first started working at a gift shop at about 12, and my aunt would make me manually count up how much things cost to tell people. So I was in a customer-facing role. When I look back at it, the exposure opportunity, I didn't know, where I was talking to adults and exchanging money with them. I was selling tickets, I was doing schedules, things like that in my teens. Little did I know that I would end up staying in the transportation arena, but that's where I started. I got recruited by my brother to go to the University of Delaware and follow his lead. I got a business degree. And at that point in time, my concentration was in operations management. At the time, supply chain didn't even exist. Nobody knew what that was. Probably most similarly today would be a supply chain degree, and y'all know that that's the biggest buzzword. Everybody says it now. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. I did have a minor in mathematics. But what I really got out of my education and my degree is planning, organizing, scheduling. So we worked, I had classes on materials planning. So how do you plan raw materials into production plant and production schedules so that you make sure you have all the things that you need at the right time in the right place. So we did a lot of things. Another class that I had in college that I find that I still use is decision making and how to use facts to drive a decision and to eliminate possibilities or consider possibilities and weighting the averages on risk and opportunity. So those are the types of things that I used from college that I can still say I use today. The only thing I can tell you that I remember from high school was typing. That was, and I will tell everybody that that was the most important class that I had in high school because I type every day, and so that's what I use.
Why the math minor?
Because math came easy to me, and I just needed to take one more class to get the minor because of what I had in business and statistics. It was just came easy. I don't know that I necessarily use that. I'm not I don't think I have any smarter sense, but I think it's that logical mindset, and knowing how things work and following a system, following a process that falls into my career. So one of the things that I was lucky, and I've landed in a lot of different things just by luck, but when I was at the University of Delaware, they had a strong internship program. So my junior year, my junior year, I got an internship at a local trash company. Very exotic. But what I got to do there was demonstrate some of the skills that I learned in school. So I started doing route planning. So, and it was a private trash company, and you didn't have, like here now, the trash truck comes into the neighborhood and picks up every stop. That's not how it was for us. A customer would have one trash company, and then the next house would have a different trash company. So you actually had to tell the driver which house to go pick up the trash at. And so we would do route plans. And so that's where I started in that position. I ended up getting an offer, and it was easy. So that was my first position out of school, where I got to work in a couple of different departments outside of the residential route planning. I did commercial route planning, so big dumpsters that are at businesses. We planned those routes out. I worked in customer service. I took telephone calls from customers saying you didn't pick up my trash, or I need more pickups. And then eventually I was a dispatcher for those industrial roll-off containers for big businesses. That is where I got the opportunity and landed into the next opportunity, because one of my customers I developed a relationship with. They knew that I was reliable, and the characteristics that I exhibited in my job, they recruited me, and that's when I changed positions. And then I went and worked for a logistics company. So logistics is supply chain. That's what supply chain used to be called. And I worked in a facility that we did a just-in-time cross-dock. So parts would come in for a General Motors automotive plant. That's what we supported. Parts would come in on shipments. We would sort through them, figure out what was the most important, and we would sequence them and order them for a General Motors production plant in Wilmington, Delaware. So that was what I did there. And I was in a supervisory role there, so that was my first opportunity to really manage employees. In, I think, 1988, my logistics company got bought by FedEx. And so I've been at FedEx the rest of my career. And this is, I'll tell you a little bit, I can see the side and the perspective of a big corporation. I think the fraction of people that work for big organizations is probably small, and probably a lot of your career presenters were not from big corporate America. But that's the world that I've been living in for a really long time. It offers a lot of structure. It offers a lot of opportunity. The resources are tremendous. The thing about FedEx, we have 600,000 people around the globe. You can be a lawyer, you can be an accountant, you can be a psychologist and work in our HR department. You can be a driver, you can be a supply chain expert. There's any type of career within a big corporation we employ in some way, in our HR teams, in our finance teams. Writers, creative people, marketeers, there's every different career opportunity in a large company, and you often would not think of that. Oh, I want to be a lawyer, but hey, FedEx, we have so many lawyers. I can't even imagine how many we have. So you have a little bit of everything in that opportunity.
And pilots, right?
We have pilots, right? IT, we have so many IT people, like 25,000 IT people, I believe, here in the States. So that's the kind of thing that you'll see in a big corporation. This gives you, we have change. Change is constant at FedEx. Every day is a different opportunity and a different challenge. COVID definitely, has impacted us significant, everyone's supply chains. So let me talk about supply chain. There's a lot of different components in a supply chain, but it's how we move goods around the globe. And so that's, where FedEx fits in. We are bringing products from other parts of the world into the U.S. for distribution. And so, this just gives an idea of like what our map of our flight plan is, right? Oh, we have meteorologists at FedEx. If you want to be a meteorologist, there's a whole team, because every day they're planning all of these flights, and that all is dependent upon the weather. So we have lots of teams that support our network globally. And so then I'll tell you, one more thing. So one of the other things that what I have learned to appreciate from FedEx is our culture. We spend a lot of time, even I was on a call this morning about quite a few things that touch on, we're rolling out a new culture program across all of our operating companies, all of these business units that we run. And it's the language that we use to work amongst ourselves to support our people. I'm really proud that we so much care for our people, and we care for our communities. And we have quality programs, and all these things tie together to how we connect people and possibilities around the world. So this gives you a good idea of what I do in my role. I work in a team called Customer Solutions, and we are a solution design and implementation department, and I lead a group of project managers that are supply chain experts, and we work with our largest customers at FedEx. I could name drop.
Do it.
Quite a few.
Do it.
Several here that are in Austin, Dell, HP, Samsung, AT&T, Verizon. They're some of my telecom customers, GE, SpaceX. There's a few pools. My team supports the high-tech, financial, aerospace vertical. So those are the types of customers we work with. All the banks. So they bring us their supply chain challenges. How can we move product? How can we get it delivered to our customers on time, damage-free, and cost effectively, right? So this morning, I've been working on, there's one of those telecom manufacturers that I just talked that has a new Android device coming out next month. And so my team works with that customer to plan how we're going to move those devices so they will show up at your front door on the week that that new device comes out and launches. So that's just one of the cool things that we do. But what we do in our group, which is pretty unique, is we're facilitating a lot of the other resources in the corporation. So we work with the IT folks that help customers get information to us, and for us to get information to our customers. We work with the engineers that figure out how to staff an operation. We work with the operations teams that actually dispatch the trucks to move the product. We work with customer experience, who takes phone calls when when a shipment doesn't get delivered. But a lot of what we do is planning and organizing for activities so that customers are successful. So we, we do that with a project management approach, so we keep track of the activities and drive, and not just wait for things to happen, but make sure things are on schedule and prepared when they need to be.
Who are you competing with, UPS and the post office?
UPS,
And
DHL more globally. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that may be my last slide. So what questions do y'all have? Okay.
Just out of curiosity, when working in a big corporation, if there's any unexpected events that happen or just something crazy happens in the world, due to like a higher, I would assume it's a large chain of command that you have to go through, how does a big corporation kind of handle those changes on a timely basis instead of having to go through all these steps because it is so large? Or do you all run into that issue at all?
Yes, and I will tell you, every company, every business has their own culture. Because of the values that we have set, no one person makes a decision at FedEx. We say every decision is made by committee. At our executive level, nobody makes a decision. So it does sometimes take us more time than we need to make a decision. There's so many people that are invested. That's what happens when you have a really big company. You need all these subject matter experts to make a decision about what's the right thing to do. It's a challenge, for sure, to be able to pivot faster and easier. Even within our group, when we get asked to do something different or take a new approach or think about a different way to do something, that's something that you're gonna find consistently, I think, everywhere, is being resilient and being flexible in the same time, as well as having the ability to have a learning mindset. So to constantly be learning, there's always things that you don't know. And with such a big company, we don't know everything, so we have to constantly be refreshing or learning something new. Our products and services change, and keeping up with that occurs very frequently.
How do you do your mundane aspects of your job?
I don't know. For me, like, email is the mundane part of it. Part of it is, setting aside time and not letting that become your whole day. Like, email really could cripple you. Getting through that, reading a lot of information, being able to quickly respond. I wish I could say that I only check my email twice a day, but it doesn't really happen that way. I have to check it all the time.
What advantages do you think FedEx possesses over its competitors?
Our brand, our values, our people, right? Like, because we take care of our people, that's a differentiator from our competitors. Safety is first. You will never see any messaging that doesn't talk about keeping our employees safe. When we communicate that we, are limiting service in an area, it's always leading with to keep our people safe first. So I think we do right by our folks in that fashion. Sophia?
If you could do it all over again, is there anything you would change about your career path?
I don't know. I never really had that, I want to be this, or I want to do that. So I sort of went the way it goes. And, my father worked for a big company, and his whole career. And when I was in your shoes, I thought, oh, I'll never do that. Like that's, everybody will tell you, oh, that doesn't exist anymore, that doesn't exist anymore. And here I am, almost 30 years at FedEx and am in the same boat. I don't know that I think there's an affinity, like what my, you know, that scheduling and organization and planning aspect that I was raised in fits nicely with my personality and my skills, frankly. So it's really a good fit.
What's the biggest problem you've had to solve, like in terms of like logistics or shipping something out?
It's definitely capacity constrained. Like right now, if you turn the TV on, you're going to hear something about supply chain, right? Everybody's talking about it. You know, we right now we can't move all of the flights here on a daily basis because the pilots are very sick. You know, that didn't sound right, but because of COVID, right? We have a lot of pilots that are out. So we can't move all of this every night and trying to prioritize what we can move when. So I'd say trying to understand what our capacity is to tell a customer, yes, we can take this, or no, we can't. I didn't really talk too much about the fact that our role is customer facing. So we sit in front of customers, and that's so exciting when they challenge us. Like, so as much as you could say, oh man, the hardest part of our job is sitting in front of a customer when they want a service level higher than it is, or they want us to be able to move more packages than we can in our network. I love those challenges because they make us think about our business in different ways. And so while it's a challenge, it's also makes our job really exciting.
Do you get paid by the hour, or do you get paid by like doing tasks?
I am on, we get paid salary, so I'm getting paid right now. You know, yeah, certain job functions, drivers, material handlers, customer service reps, they are all paid on an hourly basis. Our sales force, of course, is commission-based, so they get a base salary, and then if they sell business, maintain business, they get a incentive comp. But most of the staff, administrative staff, gets paid a base salary and then an incentive bonus based on the performance of the corporation.
So FedEx is like an acknowledged expert in supply chain stuff. Like, what skills do you think you had that got you that job at FedEx in the first place? And what was the interview process like? Like,
She was acquired.
Okay, yes, I was acquired.
but you had to stay on, right? So you had to probably talk to somebody.
No, well, yeah, no, I didn't. So I can tell you, this is so weird. I had one job interview at FedEx.
Really?
So I've had 2 job interviews
In your life?
in my life. So,
They just knew that you were good, and so they got you because you were good.
well, because I built that relationship with one of my customers,
Right.
they were like, I like your attitude, I like your attention to detail, I like how you get things done. I think those are all the things that got me the job.
Is that generally how FedEx does it? Like, doesn't have a lot of
No,
interviews?
no, we interview everything. Yeah, we interview everything.
What was your one interview like?
Well, I can tell you the perspective. So I've been hiring.
Right, okay.
We used to only take senior folks into our group. So you would have to work in another department. You were a manager, you were a subject matter expert. A lot of folks came and worked in our department because we were remote domiciles, and that made that attractive. We would get people with lots of experience. And HR and legal decided that our longevity wasn't there, and we created what we called a new workforce plan, and they said, okay, we want you to start hiring lower level, less experienced people to build longevity, because everyone's gonna retire and then you're not gonna have anybody in your work group. So last year, I was the first person in our group, in our team, which there's 12 other managers that do the same thing that I do. So I was the first person to actually hire someone who had just 2 years or 1 or 2 years out of college. So we never recruited at a college level. So we have changed our staffing model, and so we rely on various different levels, and people have to learn from each other. And we work much more jointly on projects because we have one person that is experienced working with somebody else who's less experienced. So I've been doing a lot of interviewing, and
What's your criteria? Who do you hire?
I hire people with energy. That is the number one thing that I'm looking for when I talk to somebody. How do you come across in that, are you excited to be applying for this job, and do you bring energy? And that's probably the number one thing.
Okay, any other questions? One more.
Because of all the shifts because of COVID, what would you say the most innovative thing to come out of FedEx would be during this time? Or have you all made any changes?
Okay, so a couple of things that we've done. I heard a really good example yesterday. Labor is one of our biggest issues right now. Whether it's the pilots and them being sick, whether it's staffing shortages in our operations teams. This one was really exciting, I heard yesterday. We set up an IT development office inside a college and hired college students to do IT development work for us right there on campus. Because that was the way for us to recruit talent and to get the work done, right? That's where the expertise was, and so there's a whole setup at a small school, I think in Mississippi, where students can come work part-time and do development work for us, and then likely we will recruit them for a full-time position after. So that was like brilliant.
Would that be like an internship, even though they're getting paid somewhat?
We do a lot of internships, so that's a great way to find a company to offer you a job. I mean, that's what worked for me. I think they are actually paid, and whether or not they come in through an internship after they graduate, they may get an intern, or they may also get a different internship, but this is actually during the school year, which for us internships usually work over the summer.
Okay, no more
Thank
questions.
y'all.
Thank you very